Adamasthana or 8 sacred places are a series of locations in Sri Lanka where the Buddha had visited during his 3 visits to the country. The sacred city of Anuradhapura exerted a considerable influence on the development of architecture in the country during several centuries. The city is nominated as a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1982.
Now let's find out about 8 sacred places and other places of historic sacred city of Anuradhapura. The main reason for the historical city of Anuradhapura to become a sacred city was the Jaya Sri Maha Bodhi. This sacred tree has been planted in the historical Maha Meghavana Royal Park in Anuradhapura in the month of Unduvap, 236 BC, according to the written facts. The sacred Bodhi sapling has been ceremonially brought here by Arahant Sangamita Mahadhiri under instructions of Arahant Mahindu Mahathiro. King Devanapiyatissa, who ruled Sri Lanka in this period, has planted this Bodhi tree with great pageantry in the Maha Meghavana Royal Park dedicated to the Venerable Bhikkhu. The present age of the Anuradhapura Jaya Sri Maha Bodhi is 2,247 years. Accordingly, the oldest tree of the whole world with a written history is the Jaya Sri Maha Bodhi of Anuradhapura. This tree belongs to the family of trees known as Isvasta in Sanskrit, Isvatha in Pali, Isatu in Sinhala. Botanists have named it Ficus religiosa, taking into account its religious significance. Lord Gautama Buddha is esteemed as the greatest human being appeared on earth. He attained Sammasambodhi, enlightenment, seated with his back against it under the Jaya Sri Maha Bodhi tree of Bodh Gaya, India. The Jaya Sri Maha Bodhi of Anuradhapura, being the southern branch of that sacred Bodhi tree, is the second most special reason. Within a short period of bringing the Jaya Sri Maha Bodhi sapling to Sri Lanka, the original Bodhi tree of India was destroyed by Queen Tishiraka, a queen of Emperor Dharmashoka, observing a different faith. The saplings sprouted from its roots were destroyed twice due to hostilities and natural disasters. It is a 4th generation Bodhi tree that dwells in Bodh Gaya presently. But what we see living in Anuradhapura is the southern branch of the original Bodhi tree under which Gautama Buddha was seated with his back against it. Therefore, the Jaya Sri Maha Bodhi tree of Anuradhapura is the only sacred relic in the whole world comparable to the living Buddha, which has been sanctified by the touch of the Lord Buddha and was subjected to the homage of the esteemed one himself for 1 whole week through Anamisa Lakkhana Puja. It is a specialty here that this highly sacred Bodhi could be seen and worshipped by anyone without hindrance.
The Ruwanweliseya is sited in the ancient Sinhala capital of Anuradhapura in the north-central province of Sri Lanka. It was built by King Duttagamunu and completed by his younger brother, King Saddhatissa, after his death. The Ruwanweliseya is ranked among the tallest ancient monuments in the world. Legend has it that King Duttagamunu built the stupa at a place where he found a rock inscription by Arahath Mahinda. The inscription says, "In time to come a great king would establish a great stupa where the stone is established." The Ruwanweliseya is adjacent to the Jaya Sri Maha Bodiya in the Mahamavunawayana. It was soon after the war with King Alara that King Duttagamunu started to build the great stupa. Much money had been spent on the war and times were hard, but according to the Mahavamsa, the materials needed to build the stupa miraculously sprang up from all over the island. For example, the Mahavamsa records one such incident thus. To the westward of the capital, at the distance of 5 yojanas, at the Uruvelpatana, pearls of the size of ineli fruit, together with coral beads, rose to the shores from ocean. Some fishermen seeing these, gathering them into one heap, and taking the pearls and coral in a dish, and repairing to the king, reported the event to him. The Mahavamsa and the Thupavamsa state that the king obtained support from 1,000 villages to build the Maha Stupa, and that he insisted on paying them. It is said that King Duttagamunu wished to see the stupa completed before his death. Knowing that this was impossible, King Saddhatissa quickly covered the incomplete section of the stupa with white cloth, got artisans and artists to do what was necessary, and made it look as if the stupa was completed. The ailing King Duttagamunu was brought to the stupa, and he was very happy that the stupa was completed. Other names for the Ruwanweliseya are the Maha Stupa, Swarnamali Chaithya, and Rathanamali Dagoba. The Ruwanweliseya has a diameter of 90 meters at the base, and is 92 meters high. The circumference is 292 meters high. The original stupa had been about 55 meters tall, and many kings had renovated the stupa. Like most Sri Lankan stupas, the Ruwanweliseya has been built like a bubble floating on water. Some relics of the Buddha are enshrined in it. King Duttagamunu has had a grand ceremony to enshrine the relics. The Thupavamsa describes it in detail. The whole dagoba is surrounded by a wall sculpted with elephants. According to the great 6th century Sinhala chronicle, the Mahavamsa, each elephant had tusks of real ivory. The Ruwanweliseya is one of the most venerated stupas in Sri Lanka. It is included in the Solos Masthana and in the Adamasthana. By the 19th century, the Ruwanweliseya had fallen into ruins. A bhikkhu, Naranvadi Sumanasara, visited the stupa in 1873 and resolved to restore it to its former glory, even by himself. He managed to get support and financial assistance and restored the stupa. The Ruwanweliseya Restoration Society was founded in 1902 by the Thera, and the final pinnacle laying ceremony was held on June 17, 1940. A Chudamanikya gifted by the Buddhists of Burma was used for this.
After Arahat Mahinda introduced Buddhism during the reign of King Jethawanaramaya in the Sri Lanka's ancient sacred capital, Anuradhapura, the king built the Mahavihara, a temple and residence for the monks, after dedicating the Nandana and Mahamega royal pleasure gardens to the Mahasangha. The earliest monument found in Sri Lanka is the stupa, which is described as a hemispherical dome surmounted with a spire. During the time of Emperor Ashoka, numerous stupas were built at hallowed sites in India. In these were enshrined relics of the Buddha, which people venerated. When it was observed that there were no Buddha relics in Sri Lanka, the king, on Arahat Mahinda's suggestion, appealed to Emperor Ashoka to send some relics. He responded to the king's request and sent the right collarbone relic of the Buddha. King Jethawanaramaya built the Thuparama Stupa to enshrine this relic. This was thus the oldest stupa built in Sri Lanka. Originally it was in the shape of a heap of paddy, but as restorations were done in later years, it took the form as seen today. It has a diameter of 59 feet 6 inches at the base. As the name suggests, Thuparama comprised a stupa and an arama, a residential complex. Ruins of such a complex can be seen within an area of over 3 acres around the stupa.
This was known as the Daladigo, and Archaeological Commissioner E. R. Ayrton suggested that the design was of the Vajra. He called it the Trident House. However, it has been established that this is an image house of the Thuparama complex. It's not certain if this image house had a statue of Buddha on Vajrasana, a diamond throne, depicting his enlightenment. These pillars are found in the inner sanctum of the building, which has been the first construction. The mandapa in front of the image house is a later addition. There is evidence that a standing Buddha statue has been kept here.
Lovamahapaya is a building situated between Ruwanweliseya and Sri Maha Bodiya. It is also known as the Brazen Palace or Lohaprasadaya because the roof was covered with bronze tiles. In ancient times, the building included the refectory and the Uposathagra. There was also a Simama lake where the Sangha assembled on Poya days to recite the Sutra of the Confessional. The famous Lohaprasada built by King Jethawanaramaya, described as an edifice of 9 stories, was a building of this class. One side of the building was 400 feet in length. There are 40 rows, each row consisting of 40 stone pillars, for a total of 1,600 pillars. It is believed that it took 6 years for the construction of the building, and the plan was brought from the heavens. The building was completely destroyed during the reign of King Saddhatissa.
More than 2,100 years old, Mirissawetiya is one of the most ancient dagabas in Sri Lanka. Built by the great King Jethawanaramaya, this magnificent structure is a must-see for any visitor to the sacred city of Anuradhapura. It is believed that the great King Jethawanaramaya made many wishes here that have come true during his lifetime. King Jethawanaramaya built it as a dagoba of the Mahavihara fraternity, but as the monks started living there, it sees that Mirissawetiya developed as a separate monastery. It is rumored that the king once forgot to offer a pot of chili to the monks before eating. As a token of apology, it is said that the king named the dagoba Mirissawetiya.
At 122 meters, and was the world's tallest stupa, and the third tallest structure in the world when it was built by King Maha of Anuradhapura. He initiated the construction of the stupa, 49 following the destruction of the Mahaviharaya of Anuradhapura. His son Magavana I completed the construction of the stupa, and was renovated by Parakramabayu I of Polonnaruwa. A part of a sash or belt tied by the Buddha is believed to be the relic that is enshrined here. The structure is significant in the island's history as it represents the tensions within the Theravada and Mahayana sects of Buddhism. It is also significant in recorded history as one of the tallest structures in the ancient world, and the tallest non-pyramidal building. The height of the stupa was 122 meters, making it the tallest stupa in the ancient world. With the destruction and abandonment of Anuradhapura kingdom in the 11th century, the stupa with others was covered by jungle. King Parakramabayu in 12th century tried to renovate the stupa and it was rebuilt to the current height, a reduction from the original height. Today it stands at 71 meters. The compound covers approximately 5.6 hectares and is estimated to have housed 10,000 Buddhist monks. One side of the stupa is 176 m long, and the flights of stairs at each of the 4 sides of it are 9 m wide. The doorpost to the shrine, which is situated in the courtyard, is 8 m high. The stupa has a 8.5 m deep foundation, and sits on bedrock. The structure is no longer the tallest, but it is still the largest, with a base area of 233,000 square meters. Approximately 93.3 million baked bricks were used in its construction. The engineering ingenuity behind the construction of the structure is a significant development in the history of the island.